And for more analysis, we now move on to my dear colleague Mark Summers in our newsroom. Mark?
Thank you very much, Rana. Yes, we are now joined from Cairo by Al-Ahram's managing editor, Mohammed Ez El-Din. Thank you very much for being here with us on Q News. So how might the recent Israeli airstrikes affect the longevity of the US brokered ceasefire in Gaza?
Thank you for having me here on Q News. Of course, the Israeli strikes have very negative effects. Israel is trying to influence the latest international community's decision and are trying to not have the latest proposal fail, firing on civilians and having these strikes and daily killings, including women and children, is a clear violation of the ceasefire agreement and Trump's peace plan. Israel is insisting to justify or to have the international community follow their own benefits and their own vision, and so they are stalling the peace plans and progress in the Middle East and are trying to hinder the ceasefire agreement. And so, of course, this is very negative, especially because the Gaza Strip is already suffering and are waiting for aid and not for more strikes and continued war.
So, in your view, what factors might have contributed to this spike in violence despite the ceasefire? I believe you didn't hear the question there. What factors do you think might have contributed to this spike in violence despite the ceasefire?
There is an international agreement that needs to be implemented, and with these unilateral operations, they are hindering Trump's peace plan, and we cannot move on to phase two. Phase two is still hanging, and even after the Security Council has issued their decision, and even Israel praised it, but still they are hindering international efforts and hindering full aid delivery. We have partial one, and they are having strikes and absolutely refuse a two-state solution, and this actually is very weird, but it is expected from the Israeli side. The Israeli want to basically stop the Trump peace plan and to have it stop right where it is. It is not peace, and at the same time it is not a full-on war, and they still want to target Hamas while the civilians are still suffering. And so the international community needs to put more pressure, especially the U.S. administration, especially that Trump leads the peace council that will have a leading role in the upcoming phase when it will have a role on how to deal with the post-war phase in Gaza and to take control, and maybe even in the West Bank.
And Hamas has labeled the attacks as a dangerous escalation. How might this shape internal Palestinian politics and also public sentiment in Gaza?
Of course, the Palestinian resistance, when they are talking about the violations and war still going on. Israel actually hasn't stopped striking a lot of areas in the Gaza Strip, even though they signed this and they agreed and are supposed to be committed to this, and they actually welcomed peace at first. And so, Israel is still insisting to not honor the international laws and decisions, and this actually shows disrespect towards the U.S., and the U.S. actually also does not honor the agreement because they haven't put much pressure. The international forces, one of their duties of the international forces will be disarming Hamas, but actually Israel is still keeping up with their military operations under the pretext of targeting Hamas officials, and this is actually a breach of the international agreement, and it is also a violation and an aggression on the Palestinian civilians. We see people being killed every single day. We have tens of injured people as well, women and children, and so these violations, even if they are somewhat simple, they still contribute to the escalated tensions and not having stability and peace in the region. And this is the main goal of the Gaza agreement, and Egypt has been trying and is keen to implement the four main points: stopping the aggressions of the civilians, full aid delivery, and guaranteeing stability and security in the Gaza Strip, and having international forces, and then having negotiations to reach a two-state solution and not divide the Gaza Strip or divide the Gaza Strip and the West Bank.
And are there potential regional implications of this renewed violence in Gaza, particularly regarding neighboring countries and the broader Middle East stability?
Of course, the Palestinian cause and the tensions in the Gaza Strip or the West Bank have a negative effect on the atmosphere in general and the international Arab relationships, especially the relationship with the USA, in addition to tensions and having more anger and extremist thoughts. And so this needs to stop, and it needs to vanish after we start a peace phase. Having a peace agreement, this means that we have a guarantee to protect the Palestinian civilians and to start a new phase to govern the Gaza Strip and start reconstruction. And Egypt has been putting so much effort to implement phase 2 and aims to ensure coordination and contact to start reconstruction projects. Today, the foreign minister had talks with his British counterpart, and they talked about the possibility of Britain taking part in the reconstruction conference that will be held in a few days by the end of this month, or maybe in the first few days of December. And so this means, and this shows, that Egypt is very keen to keep up the peace plan and to push more aid and to start reconstruction, then have a political solution, a two-state solution. And of course the international community has a very important role and crucial role here. The USA has actually stopped putting pressure on Israel after signing the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. The USA government needs to be aware and need to see that Israel is trying to fail the Security Council's proposal and Trump's peace plan and want to achieve their goals and to hide from the international community under the pretext of saying that they actually endorse the US points.
And how must the people of Gaza be feeling right now, the civilian population, how must they be feeling right now as these escalations continue to happen despite the ceasefire? I was asking Mohammed Ezzaldine, how do you think the people of Gaza must be feeling now as these escalations continue to happen?
They have so much hope because of a delivery, and especially if it keeps up regularly, especially with winter coming, and they need so much equipment and basic necessities They need blankets and tents and so on, and then also we need mechanisms and equipment to remove the rubble that is there because of the destroyed buildings in Palestine. And so yeah, Egypt has been putting in so much effort to deliver aid through the humanitarian corridors, and is putting pressure to open the Rafah crossing to deliver aid, and not just that's okay. And also they are aiming to make sure that the international peacekeeping forces in the Gaza Strip will actually live up to their role and will actually exercise their duties. And they have concerns when it comes to Israel considering the international forces, or thinking that the international forces will actually be their allies or will work in accordance with Israel's benefits. And so this needs to be settled once and for all, and not to have Israel take control from behind the scenes over the Gaza Strip and the Palestinian street, especially that disarming Hamas will not be easy. And so there is a need to make sure that will be very close international monitoring, and to name the duties clearly, and the mediators also need to follow up, and the USA, the broker of the peace plan, according to Trump's peace plan with the 20 points.
Well, managing editor of Al-Ahram, Mohammed Al-Dean, thank you so much for joining us from Cairo. Thank you very much.